This might sound controversial at first, but I hope Iron Man stays dead in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And no, it's not because I hate him, it's actually because I love him.
I love you 3,000.
He's been my favorite character in the MCU ever since I was a kid. I mean, look at my channel, that boy isn't up there by chance. Let me tell you why I think it would be a huge mistake if Marvel brought him back to life. Tony Stark, Iron Man, the
genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Yeah, what he said. He's been a cornerstone of the MCU, a hero we've all come to love. But his death in Avengers Endgame was not just a shock, it was the perfect conclusion to his story. Let's take a look back. When we first met Tony in the first Iron Man movie in 2008, he was an arrogant, self-centered weapons manufacturer. After the first Iron Man movie, which to this day remains one of my favorite movies, not just in the MCU but in general, he was a lot more interested in doing something good for the world. But he was still self-centered and arrogant.
Never has a greater Phoenix metaphor been personified in human history.
What I'm saying is that it was a good character arc within one movie, but the character arc that then went on to unfold over Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Civil War, and the Avengers movies was something different entirely. It was an honor to watch it unfold year after year, from a young boy in 2008 to a young man in 2019, in my case. Over the years we saw him grow, face his demons, and ultimately transform into the selfless hero who sacrificed himself to save the universe.
And I am Iron Man.
That final act of heroism was the culmination of his character arc. Bringing him back would undermine all the growth he achieved and the sacrifice he made. His death wasn't just a plot point, it was a meaningful end to his journey. I get it, we miss Tony. Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal was iconic, and it's hard to imagine the MCU without him. But sometimes the best way to honor a character is to let their story rest.
It's not even about us, it's about legacy.
Tony Stark's death had a significant impact. It was a pivotal moment in the MCU. It resonated with fans around the world. He gave his life to defeat Thanos, fulfilling his character arc and providing a powerful emotional payoff. It gave weight to the battle against Thanos and highlighted the real stakes involved. His sacrifice was so satisfying because the Tony we met in Iron Man 1 would have never done such a thing. He always felt that he would find a smart solution to the problem.
You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think I would just cut the wire.
But Avengers Endgame made it clear that his path would ultimately have to end with a sacrifice, because no matter how many battles he wins, there will always be that part in him that can't rest knowing he could save some more people.
But would you be able to rest?
Bringing him back would diminish the weight of his sacrifice and bring confusion into an otherwise organic ending. By keeping him dead, the MCU preserves the gravity of that moment and also keeps their integrity, something they were close to losing. Studios like Marvel are always so tempted to have somebody supposedly die but then not die. Loki died 3 times actually, and 1 was for real, unless of course you watch the Loki series. There he's back. Nick Fury died, until he didn't. Phil Coulson died, unless you watched the series Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bucky died and came back. Gamora died, but then an old version of her was brought back. Studios nowadays are always happy to have the emotional impact of a death, but then don't have the balls to go through with it, because more movies with that character brings in more money at the box office. And hey, I get it, movies are funded and created in order to generate money, at least that's one big reason. But if you want to keep making movies about a character, then don't have them die. You can do that once or twice, but if you overdo it, then a death means nothing anymore. That's one reason why I respected the first season of Game of Thrones so much. They weren't afraid to invest time into building a character and then killing them. It kept you at the edge of your seat, and Marvel was very close to becoming ridiculous with their character deaths, so having an important character like Iron Man sacrificing himself and then staying dead gives them a lot of credibility. That is, of course, if he actually stays dead. Marvel?
Don't you dare.
I'm not.
I can already imagine some of you watching this video several years later when they inevitably announce another Iron Man movie.
Oh, it's good to be back. You miss me.
For those of you that actually want this to happen, I want to address some of the counter arguments you might have. The strongest argument against this is I think something like the Joker. Nobody wanted another version of the Joker, but when we saw Heath Ledger, we were all happy that we got to see it. I would argue that this worked because the Joker wasn't a character that was built over 11 years in several movies. He only ever appeared in one movie as the same version or the same actor. Now you might bring up the Batman trilogy by Christopher Nolan, where Batman was built over several movies. To that I say, first of all, each version of the Batman existed in its own little universe. They didn't have Ben Affleck suddenly play Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy. And second of all, in these cases I also think that every additional version of the Batman takes away from the other Batman versions. If Christian Bale, for example, would have been the only Batman, I think that version would be remembered as something even more epic. But even if they would make another Iron Man movie with Robert Downey Jr. playing him, the risk would be extremely high. You see, Marvel actually managed to achieve something that many people would have believed to be impossible. One of those feats is that they managed to tell an organic evolution of a character throughout several movies and years. Sure, not every movie was perfection, but they had so many opportunities to mess it up, but they didn't. And even more impressive, they actually achieved a satisfying conclusion to the story of Iron Man. Everything they would do now, especially how Marvel has been doing in the last couple of years, would risk ruining something that was already perfect.
To me, starting up again is off the table. I feel I've done all I could with that character.
So instead, leave Iron Man dead, but keep his legacy alive by having other characters that he inspired live on. Like Peter Parker, for example, who's grappling with the loss of his mentor while trying to become his own hero. This kind of storytelling keeps Tony's spirit alive in a way that bringing him back never could.
Nobody could live up to Tony. Not even Tony.
So while it's hard to say goodbye, it's also important to remember why that goodbye was so powerful. Tony Stark's death reminds us that even superheroes are mortal and their sacrifices make them truly heroic. Let's cherish the journey we had with Tony, his wit, his bravery, his heart, and let's allow his story to stand as it is, a testament to what it means to be a hero. If you want to hear more about Iron Man, then check out this video about how purpose saved Iron Man's life. And what are your thoughts on Iron Man's death? Would you want Marvel to bring him back to life, or would you also appreciate if Marvel left his story as it is? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.